Hi, and welcome to the Your Story Studios podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things content creation. And today on the show, I'm joined by a man who needs absolutely no introduction. But for those who don't know who you are you and what are you doing here?
Well, thanks, Nathan. My name's Henry Sheahan. I am a freelance video producer based in Melbourne. I think we're here to talk today about video production, cameras, content, things like that.
Yeah, and more importantly, we're here to hear your story, particularly your origin story in video production. So Henry, tell me, how did you start in video production?
So I've always been a creative source from kind of a young age, always been messing with cameras since I think mid-high school. I was making a bunch of videos for every project I could. In fact, the first project I ever edited was in After Effects. And when the file came out to 36 gigabytes or something for a minute, my teacher was like, something's not quite right here. And then I did it in Premiere and things were back to normal. So that's a bit of a funny story. But I've always been messing around with cameras. I got into photography with my second camera. My first camera was actually a drone. Really weird, wild. But I figured out, you can't record audio on a drone. And a drone is a very wide camera that flies and it's not
noisy.
Really, and noisy, yeah. It's not ideal for actually capturing everything. I did have access to other cameras, so it wasn't like I just had that. But once I got my own camera, pretty much jumped into photography, took a bunch of photos, then eventually went to video, made a bunch of videos. Out of school, a lot of my subjects were geared towards engineering, so a lot of maths and problem solving and sciences. And I was lucky enough to get a job through there, but that kind of made me realize, maybe engineering's not for me. Maybe I don't want to go to uni for 4 years. So COVID then happened. And for me, it was actually fantastic, which is probably a surprise to most people because most people was terrible. But it was great for me because I was stuck at home. So what did I do? I made a bunch of videos and I got made redundant from that job because work wasn't happening. And I just got to make a bunch of videos, reach out to a bunch of people in Bendigo because that's originally where I was from at the time. And from there, I just did a bunch of free work, made a ton of videos. I think it was over 50 separate videos or something before I got any kind of work in the industry at all. And then eventually at the end of, I think it was at the start of 2021, I got offered a couple jobs in Bendigo, took that job, worked there for almost 3 years at that production company, had a fantastic time with two incredible people I'm still in touch with today, and then moved to Melbourne just over 12 months ago and am now freelancing as a video producer.
Great. So for people who don't know where Bendigo is, where is Bendigo in relation to Melbourne, which is where we are currently?
So Bendigo is in central Victoria. It's probably the best way to describe it is it's a big town. It's not a country town. It's pretty big, but it's nowhere near the size of Melbourne. And it's about 2 hours away from where we are currently in Melbourne.
Yeah, I grew up in Geelong, which is also a big town, but it's 70 Ks or something away from Melbourne. So you're close enough to Melbourne, but you're also far enough away as well to be considered your own city, I guess, as well. And we have our own football team, which is playing tonight in the finals. Hopefully we do well.
Absolutely.
We'll see. So you're now here in Melbourne and you're doing your own video production thing. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
So most of the work that I'm currently doing is a lot of camera operation. So I work directly with a bunch of producers on a regular basis, some agencies, sometimes production companies, and sometimes other freelancers will also get me on their shoots. And then I also have a couple of clients that I work with pretty regularly on an ongoing basis. But most of when I came here, I was networking with a lot of people like yourself, video professionals. I wasn't really networking with clients or trying to get a bunch of client projects. So naturally what's happened is a lot of my work has been that freelance kind of life and also a little bit of editing here and there as well. But most of what I aim to do is a lot of camera operation. I love shooting. I love being on set. I don't mind editing, but as soon as you get me stuck inside for 2 to 3 days, I just get that itch to kind of go outside. I want to meet people. I want to be on set and things like that. So that's majority of my work, but I am kind of getting a bit more client work. That was a lot of what I was doing at my previous role, more of a producer. So I have the skill set for that. I just kind of have networked in a way that I've got a lot more camera operation stuff. And I love that. It's been a really kind of refreshing way to go about things, meeting different people, going in different sets, shooting different things in different places. So
talk me through what's a typical project that you would find yourself doing today for your client work?
A lot of the freelance stuff is camera operation for a lot of corporate videos. So that'll be an interview and B-roll package. And pretty much I'll go in there. There'll be a brief a couple days beforehand usually. I'll read that brief, go through it, and then
prep. Bit of a luxury. I can normally get it like 12 hours beforehand.
Don't worry, there's plenty that are about 12 hours beforehand as well. Yeah. But yeah, ideally, most of the producers I work with, fortunately, do give it in advance. But yeah, and then we rock up and we shoot the content. I prepare any equipment we need beforehand, obviously. And that's most of those. I'll also do plenty of event coverage. I did a conference the other week. There's some media calls that I've been called out to, a variety of different bits and pieces, but most of the freelance work is a lot of interviews or B-roll packages. And then for the client side of things, a lot of those are either teleprompter stuff, so people talking directly to camera like this with a script, except there's no script there for this particular one. And then as well, there's some banner videos, some B-roll packages I've done in the past. Not much social media stuff though. Most of it's a lot of corporate interviews, things like that. So
yeah, are they typically like the corporate stuff? Is that internal or does it get put on their website? Where do these videos get consumed?
So a lot of the client work that I do, that's external. So a lot of that is going on social. Some is on social media. I did say I don't do much social media, but they're cut down to social media. But they also live on YouTube's or websites or things like that. And then a lot of the freelance stuff that I do, some of that's internal as well. So internal training, internal kind of staff videos or things like that. And also there's plenty that also go on Facebook pages, things like that. A lot of the work that I've recently been doing with one person has been like a lot of, I guess, community engagement. So telling stories about the community, get them engaging, and also like promoting important messages through the sponsors of those videos as well.
Do you have a preference on what kind of videos that you do?
To be honest, I actually like corporate stuff. I think when I talk to a lot of other people, they find corporate to be a bit boring. I like meeting different people, going to different places, going to businesses that I never would have done if I didn't do this kind of career. So I actually like the corporate stuff. And I find the challenge in corporate is actually making something boring fun. Because it can be seen as boring. You're just going around, you're shooting an interview, you're making it look good. Like it can get quite monotonous. But I think if you kind of view it in a different perspective and make it a bit more of a challenge for yourself, and you sit back and you're like, okay, how can I make this shoot day a blast for this client, or make my producer just be like, oh, that was an amazing shoot. I think that's where I get a lot of the kickback, is actually making something shooting where sometimes I'm working with people that haven't been on camera before, making them comfortable, making it fun, making it relaxing. Like that's the stuff that I love. So a lot of the corporate videos that I do, that's what I like. But if you're hoping for a specific style of video, then I love telling community stories. So again, back to those things, it's like telling stories from members within the community and like having that be an impact on the people around them and things like that. So as an example, some of the recent work has been with football clubs directly and a lot of regional football clubs. So you've got smaller towns, and when you are able to tell a story of someone in that kind of town about something terrible that's happened sometimes, or things that they want to promote a good message with, people can really rally around that. And it makes a big impact within their kind of town and community. And that's the stuff that I like making. Not just, hey, this is an announcement from this company, but it's more of, hey, this is a community member that's been through this, and a lot of people can relate. A lot of people can get behind that. And I think it's also just more engaging.
Yeah, awesome. And going forward into the future, how do you want to see your production? What would you call yourself right now? Is it a production company? Are you a freelancer? How would you define yourself?
At this stage, I would definitely still consider myself a freelancer. I think one thing that I've been working on heaps lately is trying to do more collaborative projects, whether that bring other freelancers on, or talking with other people about creative projects, or even potentially starting some spec projects with people around me as well. But I think moving forward, I would like to transition potentially more into that production company, maybe content agency kind of realm. Again, it's still kind of up in the air and I change my mind every single week, but eventually there'll be something that I do settle on, and that probably will be detached from a lot of my freelance gigs and things like that. So hopefully moving forward, more production company kind of gigs and things like that.
And do you have kind of a strategy on how you're going to do that you want to share with the audience today?
To be honest, I'm still figuring it out. I think at this stage, a lot of what I've networked towards a lot of freelance stuff. And now I'm like, oh, I've got that itch to get back into a lot of client related work. And I'm excited to, I guess, start to dive more into that and build that up on that end. And I think it'll just be what I enjoy the most there. And I guess for me right now, I think based on my previous experience and what I'm doing now, there's not a particular video type or industry that I'm drawn to. I've done heaps of different things with heaps of different people. And I like the variety, but I think in the next 6 to 12 months, I'll be focusing on what videos do I really like? What kind of people do I like working with? And how can I turn this into a production company that kind of services that specific style of video or niche or things like that? So I think moving forward, I am looking forward to kind of narrowing down my services. But at this stage, I still like the variety. You know, it's that trap where you like everything and it's hard to get out of. But I think focusing on finding something that I really like moving forward is going to be the key to building that.
Is there a particular video type that you don't want to do? I'll go first. Weddings.
Yeah, I agree. I have shot 2 weddings and I didn't have to edit them, which was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do not want to do weddings. I think it will be in the corporate realm. I'm interested in the social media realm, but I just haven't kind of, done a lot in that space. So I think before I kind of commit to doing something like that, I want to make a lot of those videos and see the impact that I can make. And I still like corporate stuff, but I don't think training videos or things would be something that I would love to do for years on end. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's good for now.
Yeah,
It helps
exactly.
pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking for clients or when you're onboarding clients, how are you finding them, or how are they finding you?
Mm-hmm. Majority of the clients that I currently have that are ongoing have been through referrals, which I'm super grateful for again. And that's just come down to networking. The other area where I have got quite a few clients is on LinkedIn. About 2 months ago, I think I posted on LinkedIn for 14 weeks straight, 5 days a week. Which was really great. That was fun. And then unfortunately I got sick. And when I went back into that, I kind of stepped back and I felt like I was just posting for the sake of posting. And there was less of a focus. And that's what I'm trying to work on moving forward, to have a bit more of a focus, to provide more, I guess, valuable information in those posts. And I think that's going to be a big strategy for me moving forward, is jumping back on LinkedIn and connecting with particular people. And also I want to try a bunch of cold outreach. I think for me, I'm all about learning. I like trying different things. And I think even if I get 10 no's in a row, that's just learnings for me to be like, oh, I didn't do a good enough job, and not beating myself up for it, but being like, oh, what can I do better to get that client next time? What could they see more value in, I suppose. So for me, a lot of those clients, referrals are a big part. And if you do a good job, if you know a bunch of people, you refer them work, they refer you work, it just kind of works over and over, I suppose. But also I want to try a bunch of cold outreach methods and approaching people with potential solutions for what problems they might have. So I'm keen to try that and we'll see how it goes. And maybe at some point we can talk more about that when it's all been through.
Yeah, absolutely. And just thinking, if I'm an audience member that is listening right now and I'm thinking about starting my own production company. I'm currently working full-time, maybe not even in video production, but I want to take that leap into starting my own video production company. Are there any pearls of wisdom that you would like to give them right now? Maybe some mistakes that you made that you could warn them about?
I think there might be a couple of things. I think for me, the biggest thing that worked, like I was in a small town, there wasn't a huge amount of options for me to kind of go to. But I think not being afraid to reach out to a bunch of people and network. I think that's been a big part of my success moving to Melbourne, is actually networking in the first place. And when I first got the job in my hometown in Bendigo, that was the result of networking and then doing a lot of free work and then showing and also making videos in my own time. So I think it's about, I guess, not don't do what everyone else does, I suppose. Like make a bunch of videos yourself, even if they're on an iPhone. Like you don't need crazy camera gear these days to make really good videos. But if people can see that you're keen and you're interested and you follow up with people as well, that can go a long way to kind of getting in with the industry as well. I think for me, I think one thing that I regret and I try and give younger people advice on is doing a lot of creative projects. When I got that job at the production company, I didn't really do anything outside of that for a couple of years. And I kind of regret that now, because I know how to make great high quality videos with like corporate businesses, which is great because it's how you make money. But at the same time, I feel like I lack a lot of creativity. I feel like I don't have these ideas that I could be super excited to present clients and things. So that's a journey that I'm kind of going back on now and trying to experiment myself. But if people are getting into video, try a bunch of stuff. Go make awesome films, and also with other people. If there's other people around you, collaborate with them and make better stuff. I think that's one thing that I do regret that I didn't do very much.
Yeah, start a YouTube channel.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Or even just posting stuff on Instagram or, as you mentioned, LinkedIn as well. Yeah,
definitely.
Having somewhere to create your masterpieces and then get feedback.
Yes.
No matter how kind or unkind it may be. Yeah, the YouTube comment section can be quite vicious.
Yes.
But that can be character building as well. And also it's learn by doing. You can try, fail, and then if you fail spectacularly, delete.
Yeah, exactly.
Try again. And then just mark that down to experience and try not to do that again.
Absolutely.
So we do talk a lot about networking. What is the best way you have found to effectively network and get positive results?
I think for me, the best way that I approached it was looking at kind of the person I am and how I like to network. If you say, hey, there's a networking event where there's 500 people, it's in the CBD, I'm going to be like, nah. I'm an introvert. I don't like those situations. I don't like going up to people and introducing myself. For me, it's all been pretty much all about, firstly, it was LinkedIn. So I went on LinkedIn, I connected with a bunch of people around here. And I also asked a bunch of people that I already knew, do you know someone else? Or went through their friends list, which sounds stalkerish, but I'm like, hey, is there people like there's video professionals following this person because I'm also following them and then reaching out. So I think number one for me, LinkedIn has been really good because a lot of the people that I suppose are more business owners or they're a little bit more business minded, they're often on LinkedIn. That said, there's also plenty of people that I've found through Instagram, and through both of those platforms, what I would do is find the people and then send them a message saying, hey, like especially if you've just moved to an area, that's what I did. I'm new to Melbourne. I'm trying to network with people. I'd love to catch up for a coffee. And for me, most of the time, if you can catch up with someone in person, it's a much closer, I guess you get to know more about them. If you're just catching up over a phone call or a Zoom call, it just doesn't have that same thing. So if you're in a position where you can catch up with people in person, it goes a long way and it shows that you are keen. And also there's one particular person I remember earlier on, which I followed up 9 times before we actually caught up. And since then, me and him have been quite close and it's been absolutely invaluable. So I think in terms of networking, if you don't get a response straight away, just send a kind follow-up message. Hey, just wondering if you saw my message. Still keen to catch up for coffee. Are you interested? And often people are just busy. So for me, it's just been about finding people online and then reaching out, just saying, hey, I'm this new person. If you want to catch up, that's awesome. And if you don't have time, that's also cool. And just not being afraid to hear people say no. And to my surprise, probably 90% of people have said yes. So I think for people out there that are like unsure about networking, find the way that kind of suits you. If you're an extrovert and you want to go to events, find events in your city. If you're an introvert and you want to do more one-on-one, which is what I enjoy more, then go and do that. That's probably the best ways that I've found networking, especially in Melbourne in our kind of industry.
Yeah, I reckon that's really good advice. And to finish up today's episode, have you got any final words of wisdom that you would like to give the audience?
I think just I guess don't take no for an answer most of the time. Like for me, it's just been about creating my own path and kind of going along that own journey. And you're gonna get to your end result one way or another, I suppose, if you just keep working at it. And even if sometimes, I think one of my good friends, David Goods, he said that life comes in seasons. You've got your summer seasons and your winter seasons. And your winter seasons are where you're not feeling good, you feel lost, you feel like you have no purpose or you're just not making progress. And your summer seasons are when you're crushing it, when things are just going really well, momentum's just working really well. And I think just ride every season as it comes and just keep working towards your goals like one step at a time. And I think as well with the internet these days and whatnot, like the world's your oyster. You can make anything happen. I think just be patient, keep working at it and things will happen. And I think if you work hard and you create opportunities for yourself, then you're pretty much creating your own luck, which is like how I like to kind of view it, I suppose. I suppose just don't take no for an answer and I guess make your dreams happen is probably what I'd say.
Excellent. Well, Henry, thank you for joining us on the Your Story Studios podcast.
Thanks for having me.